Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Unfortunately, we've got some more concerning news for Call of Duty, some very concerning news for Call of Duty based on how a lot of people are interpreting this new release, this new blog from Microsoft of all places, actually specifically the Microsoft CEO. He recently published some comments, and considering that Call of Duty is now owned by Microsoft, they just spent $69 billion or whatever buying Activision Blizzard King, this should be a red flag for a lot of Call of Duty fans out there. This was posted by Charlie Intel just a little bit ago. Microsoft CEO says people should stop calling AI SLOP, with the quote, "We need to get beyond the arguments of slop versus sophistication and develop a new equilibrium that accounts for human beings being equipped with these new cognitive amplifier tools as we relate to each other." Now, if you've been around the Call of Duty community, especially in the past few years, you've probably noticed an increasingly apparent usage of AI in the game. Mostly around content and creative stuff. We're talking charms, calling cards, emblems, things of that nature. Relatively small scale stuff for now, but ultimately it's still a problem because, at least in my opinion, at the end of the day, we shouldn't be replacing humans with machines and AI, especially in a creative space more than anything really here. It's just not a good look. And this specifically is very worrying for Call of Duty, I think, long term, because the main question here is, where does it stop? There's already been a growing displeasure in the usage of AI SLOP in Call of Duty. We've seen stuff going on in Battlefield with it too recently, isn't it, in its own conversation, but it's been small scale stuff in COD so far with a very loud reaction, loud negative reaction. And this is basically Microsoft, the owner of Call of Duty, coming out and saying, yeah, stop complaining about it, embrace it, which is not what people want to hear. So this is the actual blog that the Microsoft CEO published looking ahead to 2026, talking about how it's going to be a pivotal year for AI. Yes, another one, but this feels notable in a few different ways. We're still opening the miles of a marathon. Much remains unpredictable. Amidst this model overhang where capability is outpacing our current ability to use it to have real world impact, this is some of what we need to get right. A new concept that evolves bicycles for the mind, such that we always think of AI as a scaffolding for human potential versus a substitute. Except you're literally substituting people for AI. We have seen so many layoffs under Microsoft since this acquisition. We've seen it in Call of Duty. Microsoft's laid off so many people in other areas as well and seemingly replaced those people with AI. They're quite literally using it as a substitute. What matters is not the power of any given model, but how people choose to apply it to achieve their goals. We need to get it beyond the arguments of slop versus sophistication and develop a new equilibrium in terms of our theory of the mind that accounts for humans being equipped with these new cognitive amplifier tools as we relate to each other. This is the product design question we need to debate and answer. Now, that original Charlie Intel tweet, we're going to go back to that in a little bit here because the response, I think, is very clear, very loud, and it should be, given what this could mean for the future of not just Microsoft, but Call of Duty specifically, seeing as they're now Microsoft owned. He goes through, talks about some other AI usage stuff here, but this is not the first time that AI has been a large concerning talking point for COD, as mentioned. Back in early 2025, we had this going on for Black Ops 6 when they ended up posting some of the Christmas and holiday themed marketing. Players discovered, hey, wait a second, this image doesn't look like it's, correct. This looks like it's AI. And basically the backlash of the community saying, that's AI. Why aren't you guys admitting you're using AI? What's going on here? Basically bullied Call of Duty and bullied Activision into admitting it's using generative AI for Black Ops 6 assets after there was backlash following AI SLOP Zombie Santa. I'm sure you remember this whole conversation with this image not really working with his finger count and everything going on there. And that was just the start of it, lo and behold, because since then there's been even more instances of Call of Duty blatantly using AI. This article was posted for Black Ops 7. BO7 is littered with AI art slop because your $70 means nothing anymore, going through and talking about how a bunch of calling cards in this game specifically use this same sort of like AI SLOP basic art style that kind of resembles like Studio Ghibli movies and whatnot, and that sort of design and that anime style, and it's just used for calling cards. So it's like we, yes, bully them into admitting we're using AI, probably at the expense of, getting rid of certain designers and certain team members there, laying those people off and just using AI to develop a bunch of these calling cards because it's small content and maybe they think, oh, it's not a big deal anyways. But again, it poses the question, where does it stop? It starts with a little emblem here and there, a calling card, a charm here and there. But how long until it's weapons being designed like that, or full-on operators, or you're replacing even more voice actors like what we've already had in the past, which was another huge deal that we talked about. It just seems like it's going to become this growing, ever-present thing, and it's not in any good ways that actually are helpful. It's just taking away from jobs, basically, from real people giving soul to the game. Anyways, continuing on with this, as mentioned, loving the unique style they've gone with for the art for all these calling cards, and it's all the Ghibli style art that is like a red flag for, hey, this is AI because it uses that specific design. But like I said, I want to go back to this Charlie Intel tweet because this tweet got a lot of attention. It's got 4.5 million views just on this one quote of, oh, we should stop calling AI SLOP. Let's look at some of the replies here. One person did ask Charlie Intel, what does this have to do with COD? And this should be the red flag. Do you know who owns Call of Duty, buddy? It's Microsoft. This means that this is their philosophy going forward with Call of Duty. So Modern Warfare 4, they could be looking at this saying, hey, we just spent $69 billion to buy Activision Blizzard King, and so far we've launched BO6 and BO7, not games that have done a lot to sort of bring back those funds. We need to be as efficient as possible with making money back and spending the least possible. Now, yes, it's a business at the end of the day, but where do morals come into play here? This, to me, is going to start leaning into the, I guess, timeline. Is that the best way to put it? Of, oh, they need to spend the least amount. They need to invest the least amount into making these games and get the most profit out of them. Just get rid of a bunch of the studio members and put AI stuff in instead. And that's where things severely go downhill. I ended up actually replying to this just with my SpongeBob memes. We used to beat people up for saying things like that. It got 4,500 likes almost, so it seems like people agreed with that. Chopper, sounds like something a purveyor of slop would say. Hey, don't call my AI slop. It's my AI is good AI, right? Expel, it's slop. COD Warfare, no. Axeman, translation, please stop calling AI slop. We spent $500 billion on it. Really, just like what they're trying to convince here is, oh, we know it's bad, but don't, just stop calling it bad. If we don't call it bad, then we can use it and it won't be this bad thing, right? It's such a bad look for COD, and it's really, or for Microsoft, I guess, first and foremost, and it's really worrying for the future of COD. Maybe they should just not make slop with AI. Forcing products on people that they cannot opt out of and trying to instruct your unwilling customers how they should react to and speak about it. Doesn't feel very free market. He's just mad because he fired a ton of people for AI and then no one's using his AI. Again, kind of lines up with what we've been saying. Also pretty hilarious that one of the top quotes on this Charlie Intel report is just Microsoft's logo, but it's Micro Slop now instead. And then Axeman again, I will hereby be referring to Microsoft as Micro Slop for the rest of 2026. This is obviously something that's growing ever present in kind of every aspect of the world right now. But for gaming specifically, especially when you're going through a creative space here, it, in my opinion, takes the soul out of the game. Now, yes, devs themselves, they're human. They're going to make mistakes. They're going to miss on some things. They might put in stuff that we don't like. They might make stuff we love, but it's still that soul aspect of the game. There's still passion going into the game. You remove all those people and you just start putting in AI, you start putting in robots and machines, that soul goes away. And I don't think what Call of Duty needs right now, especially in the state that it's been in and the current sentiment around it, is less soul and less passion into the franchise and just AI slop spammed everywhere, which seemingly is what Microsoft's CEO is wanting more of. So that's just really worrying for the future of COD here. Not loving the fact that there's been so much negative news surrounding COD recently. It's definitely not always fun reporting on the negative stuff, but as always, I'm bringing you guys all of the news all the time, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent here. So if you guys want to stay up to date with everything, see how this potentially evolves into, the future for COD here into MW4, obviously something we'll be monitoring and keeping an eye on. Be sure to hit that subscribe button to stay up to date. And if you guys enjoyed the video, despite the not so great news, a like rating is always seriously appreciated. It really helps the channel grow and shares the video around it to new viewers. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you later. Peace out.